Howdy, I'm Michaela Waiser, and I'm a current graduate student at Texas A&M University in the Department of Agricultural Leadership Education and Communications, with an emphasis in extension, as I one day hope to become an extension agent and work with the organization 4-H, which I think the majority of y'all should be pretty familiar with. So for today's lesson, we are going to get into virtual reality and reviewing it through the UT-AUT model, which we'll learn exactly what that means here in a little bit. So an overview of what today's lesson is going to look like, we're going to go over our objective for today. What is VR? What is the UT-AUT model and its history of how it got created? Connecting one of the aspects of that model, which is performance expectancy, to VR. And then we will cover a case study, and then we'll have some recap questions to get a better understanding of that. And then finally, so what? So now that we have this information, what are we going to do with it? So moving on, our objectives for today are, after completing this lesson, you will be able to assess and apply the unified theory of acceptance and use of technology to forecast how innovations like virtual reality can be adopted to enhance 4-H programs with at least a 90% accuracy rate. So, talking about what is virtual reality, also known as VR. VR uses technology to create a simulation of an environment through a headset that is put over your eyes. It immerses the user in a setting that allows them to interact with the environment that they are placed within. It presents specific topics to users in a very engaging and interactive way that allows them to learn an experiential way that, if they were just in a classroom, would not be allowed to happen, as they can't just place themselves into an entirely different environment. And it enables learners to explore in 3D. Our brains naturally understand the world around us in 3D, so being able to put the learner in a space where they can learn about where they are in a 3D and interactive way allows them to better interpret and understand what they are learning. So, now we're going to watch a quick little video about what VR is and what it kind of looks like. They do a really great job of showing how it can be used and what it kind of looks like, because a lot of people may have a very opinion that does not necessarily fit what virtual reality is or how it could be used. It's not just a video game that students would wear to waste time. It can be used in a very educational way, and so this video does a great job of presenting that. So I'll go ahead and get that started.
Pre-induction, engagement in schools, but then our on-the-job training.
It's interesting to see they've just come out of the VR experience, they've learnt the basics, and now they're in the real world testing out some of those new skills.
I may have been kicked once, yes. It was really interesting to do it virtually and get a bit of practice in before getting out there with the real deal.
what better way to learn about how to do things on country than by being on country?
All right, so I really hope that y'all enjoyed that and were able to see and fully understand all the ways that this can be used. And even beyond what this is used for, it can go beyond agriculture. It can go to food safety. So there's just an endless variety of ways that VR can be used, but I thought this video did an excellent job of explaining how interactive VR can be with those that are using it and how they are able to learn it's more than just a video game. So, going into our model, the Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology, also known as UTAUT, which is what I'll be calling it from now on, its primary purpose is to explain the user's intentions of using informational systems and how they impact the subsequent user usage behavior. So, all of that basically goes to say is it predicts how technological innovations may be used in the future. So, kind of taking a look into how was this model created, and it was originally created by Ventesh. I'm not quite sure how to say that, so I'm just going to confidently roll with it, as well as his co-authors. Identified 4 fundamental constructs that create this model. So the first one is performance expectancy, which is the degree to which using technologies improves individuals' performance. Then the second one is effort expectancy, which is the perception of how easy it is to use an innovation. The third one is social influence, which is the extent to which influential people believe individuals should use technology. And then finally, we have facilitating conditions, which are the extent to which individuals believe that infrastructure exists to support technology usage. So those are the 4. And then they also had identified 4 moderators, which are basically 4 different categories that they believed might play a role into the intent of adoption of an innovation, but they did not say that they play a direct role in if the intents of adopting an innovation or intents of behavior was direct. Bandor then replaced voluntariness, which is what I previously stated, to self-efficacy, which that voluntariness is basically their willingness to volunteer. And then self-efficacy states that the perceived efficacy influences people's behaviors and activities and how much effort they are willing to put in. So basically, if they have a high self-efficacy, they're willing to exert a lot of effort to complete a task, even with there being a lot of obstacles or hard situations that they're having to move around. While if they have a low self-efficacy, they are going to put in a lot less effort to attempt in completing those tasks. So that was the switch that we saw there within that author. And then finally we have Lee, who recreated this or adopted this model. And the main thing that they switched is that they said that there is a direct influence or an independent variables of age, gender, experience, and self-efficacy. So as I was talking about earlier, they thought that those 4 categories might play a role, but they're saying that it has a much bigger direct role than what was previously stated. So moving on, this is what the model kind of looks like. So Lee and his co-authors developed it for precision agriculture, which is why we see that there, but it can be implemented to other situations. So for us, we would put in VR, and we would look at all these different categories and then decide what the behavioral intention would be. So all of these are kind of predictors that help us decide what the end result is going to be. Specifically for today, like I said earlier, we're going to be diving into the performance expectancy. So I know I touched on it a little bit previously, but the performance expectancy is the degree to which using technological innovation improves the adopter's performance. So all this goes to say that basically an innovation or technology helps improve what the user is kind of maybe already doing, or it makes their life or performance or whatever they may be doing better than what they currently have been doing. So, connecting this to VR, what are some performance expectancies that we see for virtual reality that would cause the user to want to adopt? So, obviously, you are going to be pushing this down to the county's extension agents and wanting them to possibly adopt this innovation. So you're going to want to look at what are the performance expectancies that would affect those that I'm wanting to adopt. So first, we're going to look at the leader, the extension agent, even the adult volunteers, those who are going to be helping run. Why would they want to adopt this into their programs? So first, it takes them beyond the walls of the classroom they're currently located in. It goes beyond that even. It can go beyond the county, the city, the state, the country. It can transport students to anywhere in the world to allow them to learn and have a better understanding of what they are learning about. It also provides an engaging activity that is both more effective and more efficient. So, as a leader, they're going to be looking for those as they want to be able to lead and support and engage their youth to the best of their abilities. So moving on to the youth side, because they're very interested in development of these youth, and so if they see that it has a positive effect on those youth, the leaders and extension agents, they're more likely to want to adopt this innovation. So for the youth, it increases participation and critical thinking. So it makes them kind of want to interact with it more, engage, and they really enjoy the experiences that they're having. It makes them think more critically. This is one of the number one things that a lot of jobs and employers are looking for. And so if we can help youth at a younger age develop these critical thinking skills, that would do so much, especially since this organization is built on developing youth to make change in our world. So it also allows them to learn in a more authentic and meaningful way. So they're able to actually engage more hands-on than they would if we didn't have something like this. It develops skills and presents potential obstacles. So as we were seeing in that video, students were able to go in and they were able to work with cattle and practice how do we safely handle them without injuring ourselves, and looking at the obstacles within that. As well as a lot of research has gone in and show results that the learning outcomes are much higher, and it increases the understanding of students beyond what a typical lesson might show. So moving on to our case study. So within this case study, it took place in Hong Kong, and they were looking at VR as enhancing youth intercultural sensitivity. Basically, they had found that the population is growing significantly in intercultural populations, and so therefore they had identified that youth possessing a sensitivity to multiple cultures and a multicultural community and society is a skill that is really needed. And while schools do have extracurricular activities that introduce this type of thinking and cultural sensitivity, many students don't want to participate in it, and teachers question its effectiveness. So this study basically took 3 different virtual reality learning scenarios and created them to cover topics such as marriages, families, religious beliefs, and language barriers, big things that divide cultures. And they then found that statistically significant amount showing that VR did increase the intercultural sensitivity. However, they found that there was a negative correlation between enjoyment of the VR due to it not being as interactive. It was more programmed. So I see this being able to be fixed really quickly and really easily, because I've had to, if I had a bet one day, we will be able to have real people and it'll be more human-like interactions. Okay, so now we have a couple questions that I would love for you to take the moment to answer and think about. So go ahead and grab out your phones and scan the QR code on the screen. We have 3 questions that we would love for you to answer. So the first one is, within this case study, what is the performance expectancy? Based on the information given regarding the case study using the UTAUT model, what will the predicted intended behavior be from the user? And then finally, what is the UTAUT and how can it be used to help you as a program director? So y'all take a moment to answer those and let me know at the end if y'all have any questions or concerns about that. I would love to discuss more later. So what do we do now? Now that we have this information, what can we use, or how can we use it to make what we do in our daily jobs better? So this model can be used to better predict the use of technological innovations such as virtual reality that can be incorporated into current programs to enhance them to educate members more effectively than before. So within virtual reality, there is a lot of really good research showing the positive results and effects of using it and incorporating it into lessons. While it is definitely not something that should be incorporated and just relied on entirely, it is something that could be implemented and shows a lot of positive effects from it. So within this picture, it does a really great job of showing how these students are able to learn and put themselves in an environment that is completely unlike the environment that their body is currently within. And it helps create a culture of continued learning. So it doesn't matter the fact that I am in a classroom in a tiny town that doesn't have a lot of options, or even if you're in a big city, it allows you to break those walls and barriers and to continue learning no matter where you are. And in fact, despite where you are. It helps create a culture of learning that does not just stop at a picture, but it continues, which connects to 4-H's belief of experiential learning and learning by doing. So 4-H is big on that, of being able to experience. And so virtual reality allows to meet that to a T. So I really appreciate your time, and here's my references, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Are there any questions?